So last week I did an unboxing video of a ton of hard drives, a Mac Mini, and this little OWC Thunderbait 8. And today we're finally going to be putting it all together and finally getting my storage server up and running. I think the most fitting way to start this video is going to be loading this thing up with all 8 of these 26 terabyte hard drives. What we found out in last week's video was that this does not open like a door, it actually just comes all the way off. And something that I didn't point out is this switch right here. It looks like you can have the LEDs on, dim, or all the way off, which is actually really nice because most of the time, you know, devices like this have bright blue obnoxious LEDs, so the fact that I can actually turn them all the way off is awesome. We also found out that the hard drive bays have these little drive trays that slide out like that. So the first thing that we're gonna have to do is mount 8 hard drives in these bays. So we're gonna go ahead and put one of these little tiny screws on the screwdriver right here and get her started going into the drive. There we go. That's one drive down. Now I just gotta do that 7 more times. So it took a little bit of time, but we've got all 8 of the drives in their trays. And look at that. Nice and beautiful, perfectly mounted in there. Now the next step is to put them in the enclosure, and actually, if you take a look here, you can see all 8 of those SATA connectors and like a teal colored PCB, which is kind of cool. I've never really seen one in that color before. It's pretty. So saying that was incredibly satisfying would be an understatement. That was nice. Oh my gosh, and this thing is even heavier now. Wow, that's gotta weigh at least 50 pounds at this point. I'm also gonna go ahead and put the little door back on the front here, if I can finesse it in there. There we go. That's kind of not the best design, but I'm probably just doing it wrong. The next thing we need to do is get the Mac Mini set up, you know, sign into my iCloud account and do all that, and then we can finally get this plugged in and get all the hard drives stripe rated together. We've got everything kind of temporarily set up. We've got the Mac Mini, the Thunderbait, and the screen, and now pretty much all that's left to do is turn the Mac Mini on and see if all this works. Yeah, there you go. Nice quick boot up from the Mac Mini as you'd expect. Hit the little arrow, select English. We'll set up accessibility later, and we will get it on the Wi-Fi. This will of course be hardwired to Ethernet when it's in its, you know, final spot. But for right now, we're gonna put it on the Wi-Fi. Just like the last one, this one doesn't see the 6 gig network right off the bat. For those who didn't see the other Mac Mini unboxing video, during the setup process, all it could see was the 2.4 and the 5 gig band. But after I got it all set up and signed in, then I was able to connect to the fast network. So I guess for right now, we're just gonna put it on this network. All right, there we go. There's our data and privacy. We are not gonna be transferring any data. And now I just need to get signed into my Apple ID. Just agree to the terms and conditions to be turned into a human Sennheiser, and that's pretty much all there is to it. So this is an interesting turn of events. I don't think I've ever had a brand new Mac just like totally lock up on the creating an account section. I just wanted to change the account name. We've given it a little bit and it's still hung up. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and just do the thing. Force restart it. Oh look, is it gonna give me the option to soft restart it? It's probably just gonna get stuck again. All right, we're just gonna full send the hard shutdown on it. Okay. Let's hope the second time goes a little bit better. Hey, now it sees the fast network. Okay, so we're back to the screen where it got stuck. I'm gonna try to change my account name again. Oh my gosh, it's doing it again! What? Bro, that's not good. we're gonna go ahead and just do a hard restart again, and I guess when I get to this, I'll just put in a password before I try to change where the cursor is. But it's not looking good for the Mac Mini. That's kind of a shame, you know, I'm kind of getting vibes that I had from the first Mac Mini that I had with this. Alright, hopefully the third time's the charm. Okay, so for the third time now, we're back to this screen. I'm gonna put in my passcode that I want. This is where it gets dicey. There. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to add DA in front of the username there. We're gonna put bruh as the hint because that's my mood at this Mac Mini right about now. The real question is gonna be when I hit continue, is it gonna let me continue or is it gonna pinwheel again? Creating account. I don't remember how long this step usually takes, but oh, there we go.
Not too bad.
We are successful. That was iffy. I don't know how I feel about that. I've never had a Mac of any kind do that before. I also unplugged this.
It's true.
I wonder. Make this your new Mac. Location services, yes. Device analytics off. App analytics off. Siri on. Screen time on. Firewall on. Appearance dark. So it looks like it got some settings from my other Macs. Which is cool because in the last Mac Mini that I unboxed a couple weeks ago here, none of this was set how I wanted it to be set, but this time it is, so that's good to see. Oh, there we go. There's the Apple Intelligence thing again. Still a huge disappointment, but it's here. There we go. Welcome to Mac. The main thing that we need to do now is turn this on. And I don't know if all 8 drives are going to show up individually or if it's going to already just show up in a RAID. What I think is going to happen is they're just going to show up as 8 separate drives. And go ahead and hit the switch. You can definitely hear it. That's awesome. You hear that, dude?
Yeah.
Wow. So it looks like I was right. We've got 8 separate disk cannot be read by this computer. I think that's just because of the format these drives come in. Let's try to initialize one of them. Yeah, there's all 8 of them. We're just gonna click ignore on all of these, and then I guess I just have to format these one at a time. You see, it says uninitialized here. Okay, so maybe because they're data center drives, and correct me if I'm wrong on this because I've never played with data center drives before, maybe they just don't come with a file system. That could be the case too. But let's go ahead and, well, it looks like it does see 26 terabytes, which is good. I'm gonna go ahead and erase this. I also kind of wish I knew which one was which. I guess it doesn't really matter all that much. We're gonna call this 26 terabyte 1. It's not too terribly loud, but you can definitely hear the drives doing something in there. Okay, and look at that. It looks like, well, we've got a time machine prompt already. 26 terabyte 1, yeah. Oh. There we go. We will worry about time machine later, and yeah. There we go, 26 terabytes available. So now I think I just have to do that 7 more times, and then we can get the Stripe RAID going. So we're back, a couple updates. First off, we have a screen cap going. I installed OBS, so we got that all good. And as you can see, we've got all 8 of the hard drives. And you'll see that I kind of changed the naming scheme. The lights on the drive bays on this Thunder Bay, they do not turn on unless there's drive activity. So that's how I was able to determine which one of these drives was which. So now we get to open up our RAID assistant, which is something I've never actually done before. So we're gonna go ahead and go up to RAID assistant, and we're gonna do a striped RAID. Now go ahead, say what you want in the comments. I have a reason for this. We'll get to it later on in the video here. So striped RAID, RAID 0, and we're going to select all 8 of these hard drives. And we'll go ahead and set our chunk size to 64K, and we are going to name this Vault. We're just gonna go ahead and hit next here. Creating this will permanently erase all stored data on the following disks. Yep, you can see all of them unmounting over here. Okay, so it's mounted, RAID has been created successfully. Moment of truth, does it actually show 208 terabytes? Oh, it does, oh my gosh. 10 years in the making, we finally have it. So yep, there you go, Vault, 208 terabytes available. That is beautiful. There's all 8 of our disks, and geez, 208 terabytes free. That's something I never thought I would see, but I'm seeing it. It's right in front of me, and it's making me very happy. Now that this is all set up, what needs to happen is all of this needs to go upstairs and pretty much just go into its forever home. So the idea is to put the Mac Mini and its Thunder Bay and Thunderbolt display right here. I think it'll look pretty cool right next to the iMac. This is just the top of my dresser, and as you can see, it's already been kind of taken over by a bunch of other tech stuff. We've got the Minecraft server Mac Mini right here. As I mentioned, we've got the iMac sitting here as well, and you might be able to kind of see it back there, but we've got a network switch hiding right back there. We've got some other goodies back there too. As you can see right here though, there is no room for anything else, so we got to move all these PlayStations and these hard drives out of the way. There we go, that's looking significantly better right there. We've got plenty of room now to put the Thunder Bay right at the back there. I'm probably going to put the Mac Mini right in line with this guy here so they can just be side by side, and then the Thunderbolt display can just kind of sit up at the front. But before I get too far ahead of myself, we need to figure out the power delivery situation for this. So if you guys remember at the end of last year and part of the beginning of this year, I was unboxing quite a few of those old APC surge arrest surge protectors, and that is what we're going to be using here. So I'm going to take this guy, this is the network one that was brand new, made in 2020, and we're going to put it right there on the wall. Believe it or not, I actually didn't use a level when I was putting up that template, and first shot, nailed it, perfectly level. So now we can finally go ahead and start putting things in their places here. Alright, this was a little bit more of a pain than I would have liked, and it also kind of made it so I couldn't record the process of getting all this stuff put together, which is highly unfortunate. But before I put the screen up here, there's a couple things I want to go over. So this would not fit where I originally wanted it to. Originally, I wanted to put it right back in the corner of the top of the dresser, right back there, but I ran into an issue where what I have plugged into the surge arrest right there sticks out too far to push it back far enough to fit the screen on the front. So what I did was I kind of just moved it to the middle, and this is how the Mac Minis are going to be laid out. You'll also notice this Easy Store hard drive sitting here, and what this is an archive of some of my old hard drives. This 20 terabyte drive has like 150 gigabytes free on it. This entire drive right here is what I'm going to be starting with in my data transfer to this new DAS. But for right now, I think it's finally time we get that Thunderbolt display put up here and turn on the Mac Mini in its final home for the first time. It just barely fit. And as you can see, unfortunately, it kinda is getting blocked by the wall just a little bit, but that's not too big of a deal. And yes, I know the screen is very dirty. Those smudges are actually on the bottom of the glass, so I need to take it off and clean it. I'll get to it eventually. Another thing I want to point out is that I've never had a Thunderbolt display and an iMac side by side. Did Apple really not think through the fact that these are not the same heights? Like, really? I don't know if the older iMac sat lower, but my iMac, the screen sits a good inch, maybe 2 inches higher than the Thunderbolt display does. That's annoying if you wanted to have, you know, a setup with, say, an iMac in the middle and 2 Thunderbolt displays, because they wouldn't line up. But anyway, we've got everything all set in place, so the first thing we need to do is turn on the Thunder Bay, and then we can turn on the Mac Mini. That right there is a pretty cool noise. I got a couple things that I need to finalize with the setup of this Mac Mini, but once that's done, I'll finally be able to get my data transfer started. So we finally got the data transfer started, and as you can see, we're already up to over 1 million items that need to be copied, so that's pretty cool. And you can also see that it is incredibly late, so I'm gonna call it a night. Made some pretty decent progress today, but I am about to like fall asleep standing up. But just really quick before I go to bed, why don't we run a quick speed test just to see the performance of that 10 gig Ethernet card in there. Yeah. That's about right. Yeah, the upload speed ain't all that great. I'm hoping that by the time that I'm back awake, this is done so I can move on and get the rest of my data transferred. What I really need to do is buy a hub so I can do more than one at a time because I've only got the one adapter and I don't feel like moving the Thunderbolt dock off my desk over to here for this. But I feel like dumping 20 terabytes onto that thing will be a pretty good start for it. So it's been about 2 months now, but before I end this video, I want to go over a couple of things with this server. Taking a look at disk utility right here, you can see we've used just over 61 terabytes out of the total 208, and you can also see that we have a second RAID now. This is exclusively for Time Machine. Pretty much what I did was I just took my two 20 terabyte easy store drives that I had bought and raided them together to make a 40 terabyte RAID to use exclusively for Time Machine. You can see that this is split into two partitions. We've got Time Machine and Network Time Machine. So as you might guess, Network Time Machine is pretty much used for backing up devices over the network. We've got this MacBook, we have the other MacBook that I use pretty often, and pretty much all of my old Macs are backed up onto that drive. The partition that's just called Time Machine right here is used exclusively for backing up the Mac Mini itself, as you can see right here. Now I know I'm going to get a lot of questions about why I did this the way I did, and I want to start off by explaining why I went the route of buying a Mac Mini and connecting a DAS to it. Now for those who don't know, DAS stands for Direct Attached Storage, which is exactly what I just built in this video. It's a big box of hard drives directly attached to the computer. And essentially the Mac Mini turns it into a NAS, which stands for Network Attached Storage. Now when I originally got the bug in my brain to do a project like this, I was going to use a Synology NAS. However, pretty recently they came out with an update for their new devices where you cannot use hard drives other than Synology branded hard drives. Now don't get me wrong, I know you can still use Western Digital hard drives in a Synology enclosure, however, you don't get access to your smart data. And that's a very, very big problem because smart data is important. It's pretty much a early warning that, hey, your hard drive may potentially fail pretty soon here. And when it shows you that warning, you can hopefully get all of your data transferred onto a good hard drive and avoid losing any of your data. And Synology making it so you can only access that smart data on Synology branded hard drives just feels extremely anti-consumer to me because I want to use Western Digital drives. I've had very good experiences with Western Digital drives for pretty much my entire life. So I found out about that right around the time when Apple released the M4 Mac Mini, and then I kind of got thinking, hey, what if I buy a Mac Mini and buy a Thunderbolt hard drive enclosure and just make my own NAS? And as you saw in this video, that's exactly what I did, and for the last 2 months, it's been working very, very well. The other question I know for sure I'm gonna get is, why did I do RAID 0 or striped RAID? Now, I wanted to do RAID 5. If I were to go with a Synology NAS, I could have done RAID 5, and there is a way to do it with a setup like I have here. However, the way to do it is with OWC software, which they charge $100 a year for. They took a page out of Adobe's handbook on that one for sure, and I don't want to pay a yearly subscription to use RAID 5. As you saw earlier in the video, I just used the macOS RAID utility and put it all together in a striped RAID. Now there are advantages to doing RAID 0. The main one is speed. Now for those who don't know how RAID 0 works, essentially what it does is it stripes the data across all of the hard drives, and what that means is if I were to put a file, like let's take a 60 gigabyte video for example, it would take that 60 gigabyte video and split it evenly across all 8 of my hard drives, making the read-write speed of that enclosure very, very fast. And I can actually demonstrate that here for you. So right here we've got the Blackmagic Design speed test. I'll run a really quick speed test on the internal SSD on that Mac Mini. Very, very fast SSDs they're putting in these things now. We're getting about 3 gigabytes a second on the read-write. So now let's go ahead and run a speed test on that 208 terabyte RAID. And as you can see, it's not as fast as the SSD, but it's still over 1 gigabyte per second, which for hard drives is very good. That's the big advantage to doing RAID 0. However, the huge disadvantage is that if even just one of those 8 hard drives dies, I will lose all of my data. And there's really no coming back from that without spending a ton of money for data recovery. My circumvention to that data loss issue is essentially just going to be building another one of those 208 terabyte enclosures. What I'm going to do is just write a script that will copy all of the data from the original one that I built in this video over to the second one, and once the initial copying of all of the already existing data is done, it'll just copy all new data every single night. Would it have been better to use RAID 5? Yes, probably, but I do not want to pay for another subscription. That's pretty much going to be it for this video, guys. This came out way later than I wanted it to. We started shooting this way back in July, and it's now, you know, pretty much mid-September. However, I wanted to actually use the thing for a good amount of time before I could form any opinions on it and tell you guys about it. If you have any more questions about this project, definitely let me know in the comments. I'd be more than happy to discuss anything you guys want to know about this server. But until the next video, guys, that is going to be it. Hope you enjoyed it, and as always, thank you for watching.